Imagine a man so large he seemed to step out of a myth, a towering figure who could silence a room with his presence alone. Andre the Giant, born André René Roussimoff in 1946 in a small French village, was no ordinary man. He stood over 7 feet 4 inches tall, weighed more than 520 pounds, and carried a strength that made him a legend. His life was a spectacle, a blend of triumph and struggle, shaped by a rare condition that made him both a global icon and a man apart. But behind the fame, there was a quieter story, one of a daughter who carried his legacy forward, not with his size, but with the determination to keep his memory alive. This is the tale of Andre the Giant and his daughter, Robin Christensen Roussimoff, a story of larger-than-life moments and the human truths that linger in their shadow. In the rolling hills of Grenoble, France, Andre entered the world on May 19, 1946. Already extraordinary at 13 pounds, he was far larger than most newborns, a hint of the remarkable path ahead. His parents, of average height, his mother 5 feet 2, his father 6 feet 2, watched their son grow at an astonishing rate. By 12, Andre stood 6 feet 3, towering over classmates. By 17 he was 6 feet 7, and by adulthood he reached a staggering 7 feet 4. His size came from acromegaly, a condition caused by excessive growth hormone, leading to unrelenting growth of bones and tissues. It gave him hands twice the size of an average man's, feet that required size 22 shoes, and a presence that filled every space he entered. Yet, it also brought challenges that would define his life in ways the world rarely saw. As a child, Andre lived simply. He excelled in school, particularly in mathematics, and found joy in sports, especially soccer. His size made him a natural goalkeeper, blocking shots with ease as opponents struggled to get past his massive frame. At 10, he was already 6 feet tall, a boy who seemed destined for something beyond the ordinary. But life in rural France was not always kind to someone so different. School ended early for Andre, not because of failure, but because his father needed help on the family farm. At 14, legally allowed to leave school under French law, he traded books for labor. His strength equal to several men, he could lift bales of hay with ease, move equipment that others couldn't budge, and complete tasks in half the time. Yet the farm felt small for a man whose ambitions were growing as fast as his body. Restless, Andre sought a stage where his size would not just be accepted but celebrated. He found it in professional wrestling. In his late teens, he moved to Paris, a city buzzing with possibility. There, a local promoter named Robert Legayet saw more than a giant, he saw a phenomenon. Andre trained at night, learning the art of wrestling while working as a mover by day, carrying furniture with a strength that left others in awe. He debuted under the name Jean Fer, inspired by a mythical figure from French lore, and quickly drew crowds. His size was his calling card, but his agility and charisma made him a star. In 1966, a Canadian promoter, Frank Valois, took him under his wing, guiding him to international stages. Andre's televised debut in France against Le Petit Prince sparked a sensation, and soon the world was watching. By the 1970s, Andre was a global name, dubbed the eighth wonder of the world. Crowds filled arenas to see him. Children gazed in wonder, adults marveled at his power. He joined the World Wrestling Federation, now WWE, in the 1980s, and his fame soared to new heights. He wrestled nearly 300 days a year, his matches a spectacle of strength and skill. Opponents struggled against him. It often took 2 or 3 to pose a challenge. His hands, large enough to palm a basketball, could lift men with ease. He remained undefeated for years, not just because of skill, but because his body seemed unbreakable. Yet, beneath the invincibility, acromegaly was taking its toll, causing pain in his joints, his back, his knees, a silent battle he fought with every step. Life outside the ring was no easier. The world was not built for a man like Andre. Everyday tasks became obstacles. He dialed rotary phones with a pencil, his fingers too large for the holes. Airplanes, essential for his grueling travel schedule, were a nightmare. Lavatories were too small, forcing him to use a bucket for relief. Cars cramped his massive frame, leaving him with aching legs and a sore neck after long drives. Public spaces offered no comfort. He was stared at, photographed without consent, treated as a curiosity rather than a person. In interviews, he spoke of his frustration, of wanting to be seen for who he was, not just his size. "It's not my fault being the biggest and the strongest," he once said, a quiet plea for understanding despite the challenges. Andre's charisma drew people in. He was known for his warmth, his humor, his ability to light up a room. Stories of his drinking were legendary. Tales of consuming dozens of beers or bottles of wine in a single night circulated among wrestlers and fans. Whether he drank 100 beers, as some claimed, or closer to 20 bottles of wine, the stories grew with his mirth. These accounts, while unverified, painted a picture of a man living life on his terms, seeking solace in moments of camaraderie. Yet, they also hinted at the weight he carried, a need to escape the constant scrutiny and pain. Andre's fame extended beyond wrestling. In 1987, he starred as Fezzik in The Princess Bride, a role that showcased his gentle side. His performance, warm and comedic, won hearts worldwide, revealing a man who was more than a giant. The film became a cult classic, and for many it was their first glimpse of André's humanity. But behind the screen, his health was deteriorating. Acromegaly caused his bones to grow relentlessly, enlarging his hands, feet, and face. By his late 30s, he needed knee surgery to keep wrestling. Pain became a constant companion, yet he refused to stop, driven by a love for his fans and a fear that medical treatment might end his career. The pinnacle of his wrestling career came on March 29, 1987, at WrestleMania 3. Over 93,000 fans packed the Pontiac Silverdome to watch André face Hulk Hogan, a clash that defined an era. The build-up was electric. André, once Hogan's ally, had turned against him, setting the stage for a battle of giants. Hogan, at 6 feet 7 and 300 pounds, was dwarfed by André's 7'4", 540-pound frame. The match was a spectacle, but it was one moment that became legend. Hogan, summoning every ounce of strength, lifted André for a body slam, a feat thought impossible. The crowd erupted as Hogan pinned him, marking a symbolic passing of the torch. That slam, captured in grainy footage, remains one of wrestling's most iconic images. By 1992, André's body could no longer keep up. His knees buckled under his weight, his back screamed with every move. He retired that year, his health in steep decline. In January 1993, while in France for his father's funeral, André passed away at 46, his heart unable to bear the strain of acromegaly. The wrestling world mourned, but his legacy endured, etched in the memories of fans who saw him as more than a man, a symbol of strength, resilience, and humanity. In the shadow of this giant lived his only child, Robin Christensen Rosenmoff, born in 1979 to Jean Christensen, a woman André met through wrestling. Robin's story is one of distance and quiet strength. André and Jean's relationship was brief, a fleeting moment in his whirlwind life. When Jean became pregnant, André initially doubted he could father a child, a belief rooted in his condition. A court-ordered blood test in 1981 proved otherwise, confirming Robin as his daughter. André was ordered to pay child support, between $750 and $1,000 a month, a responsibility he met, though his management team often handled the details. Robin's childhood was far from her father's spotlight. Jean raised her in the United States, shielding her from the chaos of wrestling fame. André's schedule, with over 300 days on the road, left little room for fatherhood. Robin met him only a handful of times, their encounters often awkward, tinged with the strain between André and Jean. Phone calls were rare, and when they happened, they sometimes turned into arguments between her parents. Robin, cautious as a child, didn't want to visit her father alone, and both parents agreed she should stay away from the wrestling world. Their meetings often took place in courtrooms over financial disputes, not in the warm settings of family life. Despite the distance, André cared deeply for Robin, though he struggled to express it. He ensured she had a way to reach him, a phone number always available. He never tried to exclude us, Robin later said, acknowledging his efforts, however limited. But the gap between them was more than physical. André's fame made him a myth, a figure detached from ordinary life, even within his own family. To the world, he was the eighth wonder, but to Robin, he was a father she barely knew, a man whose warmth she glimpsed in fleeting moments. When André died, Robin was just 14. His passing left her not only grieving but thrust into a role she hadn't expected. As his only heir, she inherited part of his estate and the rights to his name and likeness. Suddenly, she was the guardian of a legacy that spanned continents. Wrestling companies, toy makers, and video game developers sought her approval for projects bearing André's image. She became the gatekeeper of his memory, tasked with ensuring his story was told with truth and respect. Robin, now in her 40s, stands at about 6 feet tall and weighs around 220 pounds, significant, but far from her father's towering frame. Rumors that she outgrew him are false, a misunderstanding of her role in his legacy. She shares his facial features, a quiet connection to the man she lost too soon. Unlike André, she never pursued wrestling, choosing instead to honor him in her own way. She began appearing at wrestling conventions, signing autographs, and listening to fans who saw André as a childhood hero. These moments gave her new perspectives on her father's impact, helping her process her grief. She also contributed to projects that brought André's story to life. She consulted on the 2018 HBO documentary André the Giant, ensuring it captured his humanity, not just his size. She attended screenings of The Princess Bride, where André's role as Fezzik revealed the gentle giant fans rarely saw in the ring. Through these efforts, she connected with actors like Kerry L. West, who shared stories of André's kindness on set. Robin's work wasn't about fame but about preserving the truth of who her father was, a man who faced pain and isolation yet brought joy to millions. One claim about Robin's contributions doesn't hold up. Stories of an André the Giant Memorial Scholarship Fund, meant to support young performers, appear to be a mix-up. Instead, WWE honors André with the André the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, an annual event since 2014 while no scholarship exists. Robin's other efforts, managing his estate, vetting projects, engaging with fans, show her dedication. She that doesn't seek the spotlight but steps into it when it serves her father's memory. Robin's life is a testament to resilience. She grew up with a father who was more myth than man, yet she found a way to connect with him through his legacy. She carries his story forward, not with bravado, but with purpose. She ensures that Andre is remembered not just for his size or strength, but for the warmth he showed in quiet moments, the laughter he shared with friends, the courage it took to live in a world not built for him. Andre's life was a paradox, a man who seemed invincible yet battled pain every day. A global star who longed for normalcy, a father who loved his daughter but couldn't bridge the distance between them. His story resonates because it's human, filled with triumphs and flaws. Robin's role is no less profound. She doesn't tower over crowds, but her impact is felt in the way she protects her father's name, ensuring future generations see the man behind the giant. As the years pass, Andre's legend grows, fueled by stories of his strength, his kindness, his larger-than-life presence. But it's Robin who keeps that legend grounded, who reminds us that even giants have hearts. Her work is a bridge between the myth and the man, a quiet promise to a father she knew too briefly. Through her, Andre the Giant lives on, not just as a wrestler or a star, but as a human being who faced the world on his own terms and left a legacy that endures. This story isn't just about a man who stood 7 feet 4 or a daughter who carries his name. It's about the weight of fame, the cost of difference, and the power of memory. Andre the Giant was a spectacle, a wonder, a man who defied the ordinary. Robin Christensen roused him off as his legacy, proving that greatness isn't measured in the size, but in the impact we leave behind. Stay tuned for more stories that remind us of the human heart behind every legend.